Salvete omnes. Welcome to the screencast for Caesar's De Bello Gallico, Book 1, Chapter 2. So in this chapter, we've just had our little geography lesson about Gaul as a whole, and now the narrative itself is going to begin with the Helvetians and their plan to leave their territory, possibly creating a threat to the Roman people. So let's jump right in. Apud Helvetios longe nobilissimus fuit et ditissimus Orgetorix. So among the Helvetians, by far the most noble and the richest was Orgetorix. So Orgetorix, Marco Messala, Marco Pisone consulibus. So when Marcus Messala and Marcus Piso were the consuls, remember this is how the Romans generally tell time. You have two consuls every year, and naming the two of them can tell you that this, for us, would be 61 BC, though, of course, they're not counting down the BC days. So just during the consulship of these guys, this man, Orgetorix, inductus regni cupiditate, so led on by desire for power or for a kingdom, fecit conjurationem nobilitate, so he made a conspiracy of the nobility. And he persuaded the state, persuasit civitati, ut, so after persuasit, if you had to name that ut clause, we would have to go with indirect command. So he persuaded the state, the citizenry, to leave de finibus suis, from their boundaries, cum omnibus copiis, with all of their supplies, all of their goods. So they're going to emigrate out of their country. And now it kicks into indirect statement. Essentially, he persuaded them to leave, and you understand saying that, or something equivalent to that. So saying that per facile esse, so saying that it was easy, or that it would be easy. Cum virtute omnibus praestare. Here, this cum almost certainly to be taken as since, or because they excelled everybody in virtue, right? Or excuse me, not maybe virtue, but more like courage. Since they excelled everybody in courage, it would be easy to potiri imperio totius Gallii, so to get to obtain command over all of Gaul. So potiri is one of the 5 deponent verbs that takes the ablative. Imperio is that ablative, so it's the ablative object of the special verb potiri, and then totius Gallii, those are going to be in the genitive. And remember, totius is one of our unus nauta adjectives that have the ius genitive singulars, like unus unius, totus totius, solus solius. There's a little list of those. Id hoc facilius iis persuasit quod undique loci natura Helvetii continentur. All right, and so you'll notice I try to kind of hammer that hoc there. That is going to be an ablative of cause, and the way Caesar writes, he often overemphasizes things for the benefit of his readers understanding what he's saying. And so the hoc is going to be answered by the quod. It's going to be something like, for this reason, namely that, right? And let's see how that works in the whole sentence here. So he, Orgetorix, still persuasit ihis, so he persuaded them, meaning the members of the nobility and the citizenry. And remember also persuasit takes the dative here, so he persuaded them this thing, id, namely to carry out this plan of immigration, facilius, more easily, right? So don't miss the comparative there. So he persuaded them of this more easily for this reason, that undique, on all sides, loci natura, by the nature of the place, the Helvetii continentur. The Helvetii were hemmed in, they were contained. Una ex parte, from one part, or parte here, probably more like direction, so from one direction by the river Rhine, the Rhenus that is latissimo, aquae altissimo, very wide and very deep. which divided Helvetian land from the Germans, alter ex parte from the other direction by Mount Jura, very tall Mount Jura, qui est, which is between the Sequani and the Helvetii, right? So they are hemmed in by the natural terrain there, right there in Switzerland, so very mountainous, and they also have a river blocking them. His rebus fiebat ut. So his rebus, for these reasons, or because of these things, it was happening that. And so fio fieri can often set up a result clause. So it happened with the result that, or just it happened that et. And one little note about the AP, et, when it is, like in this case, both and, is typically worth a point on the exam. So a simple little thing, but don't give up that point. Always both and. So it happened that both, they were wandering less broadly, and less easily were they able to bring war upon their neighbors. Qua ex parte, and here Caesar's being a little bit cute because parte had been direction, and now parte is really more abstract, meaning kind of like reason here. Qua ex parte, for which reason men cupidi bellandi, so men eager for making war. You got the gerund of bellara there, so men eager for making war were being affected with great sadness. So they can't go and murder their neighbors, and that's kind of making them sad. Pro multitudine autem hominum et pro gloria belli aquae fortitudinis angustos se fines habere arbitrantur. So pro, often you can get away with just saying for. Here, I would say something more like in proportion to. So autem, however, in proportion to their magnitude of men and in proportion to their glory, literally of war, but you could say in war, their glory in war, and of bravery. So in proportion to those things, they arbitrantur, they were thinking that, we set up the indirect statement with the accusative and the infinitive, so they were thinking that they, habere, had angustos fines, narrow boundaries. So for people as awesome at war as they are, they really don't have enough land, enough space. So boundaries which in length, patebon, to understand twice, extended 240 miles, in width 180 miles. And just a quick little note that a Roman mile is literally 1,000 paces. That's the way they think of a mile. So that's why you have 240 thousands of paces. But you don't translate it that way. Milia passum are miles. That's just their word for miles. All right, so that's it for Caesar 1.2.